Hello there, today I will be showcasing this amazing application. It's an Instagram clone. This application is packed with so many features. You can sign in using Google and your Google profile picture will be displayed over here. You can post pictures with captions. When you click plus, you can post a picture. Let's just go ahead and select any image we can find. Like this one, open. We can put a caption. My first post. Upload our post, and once our post gets uploaded to our Firestore database, we'll see it on our application here. As you can see, my internet is a bit slow, and you can like this post. You can make comments on this post. First comments and post. You can make comments on this post. You can view other users' posts. And in this application, you're using React-Modal to display the time of each comment. As you can see over here, 16 hours ago. And this comment we just made was made a few seconds ago. Also, we're using React-Modal to show this pop-up that allows us to make a post that gets saved in our Firestore database. We're also using React Recoil to hold our modal state. It is mobile responsive and it uses TailwindCss, as we can see here. Mobile responsive. It's packed with stories. See our user here, see our story. And we're going to be creating this application from scratch. You can also sign out by clicking on this. If you sign out, you will not be able to make comments or like posts, but you'll be able to view the comments and likes of posts. Now we're going to be creating this application from scratch. Please make sure you like this video. It really helps the channel a lot. Subscribe if you want to see more application builds. If you're thinking about copying this code and running it immediately, it won't work because you have to set up Google authentication, which we use for our signing process, and you also have to set up your Firebase API to enable the application to work. So I highly suggest you go through this video and the settings that's up in your Google and Firebase account so you can get this project running perfectly on your end. The live demo link is in the description along with the GitHub link. If you run into any issues, please let me know in the comments. And with that said, let's get started on coding this application. Okay everyone, so let's get started. Now we have installed ours already. npx create next app and in this current folder. So would you like to use TypeScript? No. ESLint, yes. TailwindCss, yes. The source directory, we use it in our IMDb clone, but in this video we're not going to use it. We'll just say no. Use app router, we're going to say no. And customize the default import alias, say no. So your next application will be created, and now we can just npm run dev. So before we check that, let's try and clear out some of these things here. We're not going to need any of this. Since I'm not sure. Okay, let's just put some. Get this out. This is what we're going to get rid of this. We're going to say div. I'm going to give it a class name. We're going to say PG gray 50 and minimum page screen. Okay. Now we're going to also use head and say control space import next head. Let's say title. Instagram app. We'll say meta. Description. Content. Created by Ninja Coder. Now I know you guys are seeing this auto predicts here. And that's because I'm currently using tab 9 extension. It's really cool, really neat. I'm using the Tabna AI here. So maybe you try to install that on your VS Code yourself as well. I've just been using it for a while now. And it's pretty okay, but I've not been using it for too long, so I won't really tell. As you can see, it's already auto-suggesting things. You can just press tab and have that there. So that's okay. So let's check. Okay, cool, that's one. LocalPost. Okay, so these are LocalPost inside my app. Now we're going to create a header. That's where the header is. Now we're going to go to our main directory here and create components. I'm going to create a file, header.js. Okay, so in the header.js, now we're going to import image from next image. Okay, sorry, I should have done RFC header next image. We don't need this import React from React, not needed at all. Then we're going to create our first div. We're going to say class name or shadow, just small shadow, border, bottom, and we're just going to leave that like that. We're going to have three sections. We're going to have the left section, the middle section, and the right section. Okay, so let's style this here. One border, we want it to be sticky. We want it to be placed at the top and not leave the top. It should be at the top. Then I want top 0. I want the background to be white with a z index of 30. Then here we want div class name, another div. We want it to flex items center, justify between, max W6XL and MX4, and also in our larger screen we want MX to be auto. Okay, so let's start with our left side. In our left side, check this. Here we want a div. In this div, we're going to show an image with a source. Now we're going to use Instagram image. Let's go to our browser. We're going to use this image. So come back. So the source is going to be this link. You can use any link you want of any image. Into layouts. Goes to fill. Say class name. Say object contain. Okay, so object contain. Let's check it out. Okay, so the reason we're not saying anything is because we haven't added this to our index main folder yet under the header. We'll just add this here. Header. So this will give us an error because the host name of this is not in our next config file. So you see, host name this. So we're going to go to our next config and we'll change this to this. So as you can see here, in our domains we have www.journeyexplores.com, which was shown to us here, or what we should add in our hostname. So we've added that here. So now we shouldn't have that issue anymore. But because we changed something in the next config file, you need to restart this application. So npm run dev all over again. So now we can refresh this. We're not getting an error, but we're not really getting anything. Let's go back to our header. Let's type some words here. Okay, let's see here. See our Instagram logo and see some of our words here. So let's go back and continue styling it so that we can have something more presentable to show. Okay, so we have this image and we want another image here because we want, and that has gone. So let me style this a bit. I'm going to say class name. Let's say cursor. Cursor pointer. Height 24. Width 24. Let's check that. Okay, so we can see our Instagram logo here now, much better. Now we're also going to create another image down here. Let me just copy this. And here I'm going to have image, and the source is going to be this. So we're going to use this. So if it's in a full, like in Instagram application, if you're checking the Instagram app with your browser, if you're on full width, it's going to show this. Distinction error. It's going to show this image. Then if it's on a smaller view, it's going to show this image. But we're going to do that so you'll be able to see what we are talking about. We'll put this here. We'll say layout, fill, and then we'll say class name. Object contain. Okay, so let's check it. Okay, so you can see the two images, they are on top each other. So we want this to show when it's a large screen, and this to show when it's a small screen. So how we're going to do that? We're going to come here. We're going to say relative, and then we're going to say large screen hidden. Then over in this, we're going to say relative hidden, and then in large screen, we're going to say inline grid. Now we're starting with hidden, then when it gets to a large screen, it should be shown. So if we come here, you can see it here, it's showing, but if you come smaller, this one shows. So bigger, smaller, bigger, small. Hope that makes much more sense. So we have our height 24, width of this should be 10, because that image is looking a bit big. Exactly. So you can see below this. Good, our application is looking clean. Isn't that nice? All right, so let's go back. Now we're done with the left side. Let's go to the middle. Okay. Now in the middle, we're going to use an icon from hero icons. We're going to probably need to install this first. Hero icon. Okay, so we're going to need search for hero icons. My internet is a bit not that fast. Okay, so we want to say npm what? Okay, so my internet is not that good, so let me just try this. Okay. Okay, so npm install hero icons React. Let's see what I had to go through. You can see here. Okay, so it has installed successfully. Happy about that. So let's go back to our header here, and we're going to import. I'm going to import search icon, the plus circle icon. If you want to get know more about the icons, just search hero icons React. You'll be able to see more about the package. Okay, from at hero icons React outline. Okay. All imports and import inclusion are used. Heroes icons. Hope the spelling is correct. React outline. Okay, so we're good to go. So now we want to work with the middle here. We're going to say div. We're going to say class name. Let's say relative margin top 1. Now we're going to come here. We're going to say the letter div. Absolute top 2 and left 2, because we want a bit of wanted to start from the left 2 here and the top 2. So this absolute, and now we're going to use the search icon. And we'll say text gray 500. And we're going to also use the input because we want to work on the search bar. Text class name, bg gray, 50 pl 10, padding left, border, pre 500, and the text should be small, and on focus ring black, and low focus border black, rounded again. Okay, div. What's wrong with this div? Div to divs. Div here. Well. Okay, what could be the issue here? Why are we having this little error? Let's check back in our app and refresh. Okay. Okay, what is it saying? It's saying search icon. You're trying to import from here's v1 what you have installed, your icon v2. Okay, it seems it's from here. So let's install the version 1 like this. Let's go back here, Ctrl C, npm install version 1. Okay, npm run dev. Let's refresh. Okay, we have it here, but our search bar is not looking very nice. So let's see if we can save. We still can't save, so I'm trying to see what the issue is. Let's say, okay, what could be the issue here? It's as if we left something open. That was okay. I've seen the issue. Well, that is not the issue. Input type. Class name, ground, PL, border, gray, text, small focus, ring, black, focus. Okay. Okay, so we want to go to our plugins. I think that's where I'm getting my issue from. I want to go to our plugins and take this piece of code and put it in our plugins. Required TailwindCss/forms. That should make our application work better. And what is it saying? Cannot find module Tailwind form. Okay, hold on. Tailwind CSS forms. Okay. The program Firebase reset for forms as I make from edit to override utilities. Okay, see here. TailwindCss forms npm package. We're going to copy this, go back to our code, Ctrl C, paste this, and enter. Okay, now let's run our code again and see. Okay, says all right, so that was just the issue. We needed to install the TailwindCss forms so that in our header, when we override the inputs, we'll be able to get this styling that we like over here. So that's done. So our header component is okay now. Now what we want to do is on the right side, we are going to work on this right side, but not now, but we will do that. So right now we want to work on our stories. We want our stories to be here. So to do that, we're going to create a new folder, a new file. We're going to say story.js. You can say RFC. Okay, story. Now we're going to install something called MiniProfile. Populate fake data for us. And in our story, we want to first of all create another file. Sorry, stories.js RFC. Okay, stories. Then we want to install this MiniProfile. It allows us to generate fake data so that we can use that for our stories. So we're just going to copy this, go back, Ctrl C, and install npm MiniProfile. So that's done. We'll go ahead and start our application again. Close that. We'll remove this React here. We are now going to, because we need a lot of data to be able to like show in our distance, so we need to create fake data to start with. So to do that, we're going to first create a use state. We're going to say constant story users. We're going to say set story users equals to use state array. I want to say use effects. Okay, then here we're going to import. We're going to import MiniProfile. Import MiniProfile from MiniProfile. Okay, now that we've imported the MiniProfile, inside our use effects, anytime this component is mounted, we want to generate that fake data and then set it in our story users. So we're going to say constant story user, constant story users. Okay, I'm going to say constant story users is equals to MiniProfile dot array, because it's an array we need, and in the array we need 20 pieces of data inside our array. The length of the array should be 20. That's why we're saying 20. Then we're going to say I, because then we're going to work on what the fake data should be. We're going to need a username, and the username minifica.username. Now the username, we need it to be in English, so we want the locally. If you don't put this option, it's just going to come, it comes with French and English. Let's go back down here. Let's go down. So you can see here .username, it comes in English and French. So we want it to just be English, we don't want the French. So we have to set it here and say over here we want the locally to be English. And then we can just say this like this. We need to import it. So we need to import minifica/locally. Locally is English. So now that we've imported that, we'll come back here. English and dot. We want it to be in lowercase. You see dot lowercase. Then we also need an image, and in the image there's this website called Avatar. Let me show you. Avatar. So here you can get a lot of avatar images. All you need to do is use this. Say this, okay, random size, unique ID. Okay, so we can get a lot of these dummy avatars from here using this. It's like a link for an image, so we're going to use that over here. So how are we going to use that? In our image here, we're going to create with literal template literal HTTPS. This is the website, and we want an image with, want to pick a random number, want it to be random, so we get different random images. So here we're going to say $. Here you can, if you put 3, you're going to get an image with an ID of like 3, or a random image like that. But we want to make this number random so that when it's creating the array of 20 users, this image is going to be random, going to be different images. So instead of 3 giving the fixed value, we're going to give it a dynamic value. We're going to say $. We're going to say math.cell math random multiplied by 70, and then want an ID of I. So this I here is going to is like the index. So we want the ID to be the index. So if this is the first array, it will be index of 0. If it's the second, it will be 1, then and so forth. So we'll save this. Then once we've done that, we want to set story users to be story users. I'll get from, so log this. Okay, so this is the stories. Now we need to put that in our feed, because right here in our index we have the header, then we're supposed to have the feed. So we're going to create a component here called feed.js rfc and feed. So in this feed, we're going to have main. We're going to have a section, and here we're going to have stories, which is our stories. After the stories, we're going to have our post. We're going to have another section. We're going to have MiniProfile, our mini profiles, and we're also going to have suggestion. Okay, so in index we have our feed, which has to come here. So we'll go back to our Instagram app. We'll refresh. Okay, can't say anything, but we should be able to see an array in our console here. Okay, here we go. The array. You can see different usernames. ID 3, ID 0. So it does actually start from here. So as you can see, we have our data. Now we need to display our data here. So let's remove this, come back, and in our stories, go over to our stories. So now that we have our data, everything is okay. We want to come down here and want to map through all the stories. So we're going to say story users dot map each individual user, and we're going to say story we're going to import it, our story, this story here. We're going to import it. We're going to say key equals to user dot id, username equals to user dot username, and then image equals to user dot image. We're going to close this. So in our story here, we're going to collect that information. Let's say image user name. So over here, we're going to display this. We're going to say image source should equals to image, and the auth should equals to the username. Then now we're going to say p tag username. So you can see all our data has already come out. Nice. Now we want to show this data like here, like stories on Instagram. This is not how stories are. So we're going to style this. But first we're going to go to our stories. In this div here, we're going to say class name. We're going to say flex space x 2 padding 6 background white, margin top 8, border gray 200, border pepper. I'm going to say overflow x go and rounded sm scroll bar. No, now this scroll bar is not going to work until we install the scroll bar package. So let's go to our terminal, Ctrl+C, npm install where's the name of that package again? Okay, Tailwind scroll bar. It allows us to edit the scroll bar. We're going to install that. Alright, so that's done. Then we're going to come to our Tailwind config, and we're going to add another require. This here, say comma, save. Then we're going to start up our application and close this. You can see they're all horizontal now, so we're trying to get rid of this scroll bar. That's why we're downloading that Tailwind scroll bar, so that when we go on to our stories and we say scroll bar none, scroll bar will actually be none. As you can see, scroll bar is gone. So with our stories, we're done styling this. Now we need to style our story. Let's go to our story. Okay, so the first div, in say class name, height of 14, rounded, full, p 1.5 px, border with 500, border 2, and also pointer over scale 0 and position transform the duration to 200 milliseconds in out. Then our username here, we need to say class name and text xx. Width should be 14. So keep in case username is very long. Okay, let's refresh this. Okay, so it's not really looking the way we want, is it? It's not rounding, the images are not rounding. Let's check what may be wrong. Okay, it seems like this is height, and all this styling is for our image, not our div. Okay, all right, so there we go. Perfect. So you can see, looking nice and clean. Okay, so now we're done with our stories. We're going to work on our posts. To do that, we're going to create a new file in our components. Before we do that, let's try and clear out all of this. So create a new file and call it post.js RFC. So we're going to create some fake data, just so we can use for now, then later on we'll use real data. So we're going to create a new constant here, constant post equals to, I have some data with me here. You can get this data from the GitHub on the post page. In your user ID1, username Niger Coder, image, user image, the image and the caption. Nice picture, new picture from my city. Just some little fake data to use. So we're going to look through this. We're going to map this out with post map, and we're going to use post. So we're going to come to our here and create a new file, post.js, and this post just is, we're going to RFC. Okay, then here we're going to get image, user image, we're going to get caption, we're going to get user name, and we're going to get ID. Okay, here we're just going to display username. Let's save this. So come back to our post, and we see here post, import it. Our key is going to be our post.id. Our ID equals to post.id as well. Username, post.username. User image, post.user image. our image equals to post.image caption goes to post.caption. Yeah, as you can see, I'm getting predictions with tab 9, so I really advise you to install tab 9. It's really nice. After it starts to learn how you're coding, it starts to help you with prediction and makes you code faster. Okay, so we're having this bit of error here. Okay, I see where the problem is. This. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's check our app. Okay, we're not getting suggested post. Let's go back. Okay, so this needs data to load. So let me get my internet and connected, and then we'll continue. Okay, so I've gotten my internet back, and let me just connect to this as okay. Then refresh this. Okay, now our posts are not showing down here, so let's go back and see what the problem is. Let's check if we need to restart our server. Let's Ctrl+C and start the server. Post map post. Okay, so it's still not showing. Let's go back. Let's just type something here. So use this page. Okay, silly me. Right now, know why it's not showing. In our feed, we need to import our post. Okay, so see the username here. So let's go back to our post. Okay, in our post here, let's try and install this a little bit. So what we're going to do, we're going to come here, we're going to delete this. We're going to style this a bit, class name, and bg white, margin y up and down, 7 border rounded mid. So we have the header section of our post. Let's start that. So we're going to say div class name. We're going to say image source user image alt equals to the user's username, and then the class name. Let's say height of 12, rounded full, objects cover, border padding 1, margin right 3. Okay. Let's see how this looks. Okay, so we can see the header section here. We're seeing our image here. We also need the username, so let's add the username in the p tag. Username Jacoda James. Okay, so we also need an icon around here, this dot icon. So let's import all our icons that we're going to use. We're going to import the dot horizontal icon. We're also going to need the heart icon, the chat icon, and the bookmark icon, and also the emoji happy icon. Okay, so we're going to use all these icons as we're writing this code. So as we can see, it's coming along. The header section is coming along. Here now we want this to flex. We want this to be here. So what we're going to do, we're going to come here. I'm going to say flex items center padding of 5. So as you can see, it's now here. It's looking neat. Then we also want the icon here. So after the username, I'm going to say dot horizontal icon, class name, height of 5. Okay, see here. Then we're going to come over to here, our username, but it needs to be a bit bold. Let's say font bold, our flex 1. We're going to save that. Okay, so this looks much better. So our icon here. So now we're going to show display the image. So we're going to come down. We're going to come in display section. We're going to say post image. Let's say image class name, object cover, w4, source image alt. Just leave this empty, or we can use the caption as alt. Okay, see this. This looks much better. Much better. Now we want to create the comment section down here. So we're going to come back here. I'm going to say comments. I just like creating a lot of space in my code. Class name P5. We say truncate so that it only stays in one line. So in case the username and the caption is too long, everything will just still be in one line, because this way we're going to put the caption. We're going to say span the class name as a name. I'm going to say caption. Okay, here's our caption here. Okay, that's nice. Now after this, I'm going to say our post input box. Flex items center with a padding of 4. Then we're going to use the emoji happy icon. We're going to use the inputs, the class name of border none, and flex 1. And if it's on focus, we want to remove the outline. Okay, let me delete this to show you what I mean. Okay, so here you can see this outline, this green outline. We want to get rid of it. So to do that, all we need to say is focus ring 0. So when you go back now, refresh, and focus to show. Do you type that well? Focus ring 0 inputs. Okay, it's still showing, but we'll come back to that. Let's just put our placeholder first. Okay, type text placeholder, enter your comments. Let's see. So let's try it again. Okay, so we just had to put the type as text. So as you can see, the ring is gone. And after that, we also have button. Okay, class name. Font. Bold. Post. Okay, so this is looking really nice, but there is one small issue. As you can see, it's not looking nice when we expand, and it's still taking up the whole screen. It needs to shrink so we can have our suggestions at this side. So what we're going to do now that we're done with our post, we're going to remove this. We're going to go back to our feed. Now that we're done with our post, before we do this section, we need to be able to see this section, because right now we're not really seeing it. This post is just taking up the entire width of the screen. Even when we increase it to a large screen, small screen, large screen, it is still taking up the entire width of our browser. So we're going to have to work on that. So what we're going to go to our feed, and we're going to style our main here. See class name grid. It calls 1 empty grid equals 3 empty max with 6XL MX also. Okay, so now in this our section here, we'll say class name. In any screen size larger than the medium, want it to be cool span 2. And over here, class name, it should be hidden. And in the medium, any size for medium and large, it should now be shown in line with grid MD. Okay, so as you can see now, we have space for our suggestions and a mini profile. So if we reduce this, here it takes up the entire width. Then when we go to a larger screen, it will now shift to this side and allow space here. And when we go to a much larger screen, you see some space here. That's because it has a max width. So alright, that should be fine. Now we can work on our mini profile. So we're going to come to our components. I'm going to create a new file, say MiniProfile.js. Okay, now MiniProfile.js, we're just going to say RFC, and we're going to come to our div here, and we're going to style it a bit. You'll say class name, flex items, center, see 5 between, margin top 14, margin left 10. Okay, then we're going to show our image, your class name, height 16, rounded full, border, that's nice, border, the padding of 2px, and the source of our image, which image are we going to use for our mini profile. If we come over here, we're just going to search Niger Coda images. See that cute face over here, see this cute face. So we're going to copy image address, come here and fix it here. Okay, then our alt going to be equals to user image. I'm going to have a div class name. Let's say flex 1, margin left 4. I'm going to say h2 class name, fonts bold. Let's say NextJS. Let's see how this is looking. Okay, we've not imported it to our feed yet. It was a MiniProfile. Okay, so we're not supposed to be down here, but let's finish with our styling. Okay, so let's go back. In our feed, what we want to come over here, create a div, class name, fixed width 380 px. Okay, see here, Nigeria Coda. All right, we look really nice. So in our MiniProfile, we have our Nigeria Coda here, h2 tag. So we're going to create another h3 tag. We're going to say class name, text small, text gray 400. Say welcome to new style run. Then after this div here, we'll say button, class name, font semi bold, and text blue 400, and the text should be small. Say sign out. All right, so this is our MiniProfile. It's looking really nice. I like it. Now we're going to create our suggestion here with MiniFaker. So when we come back to our components, go back to our feed, build this, we can see our suggestions here. So we're going to come here, I'm going to create a new file as suggestions, suggestions.js. Here we're going to say RFC, and here we're going to start working. So what we're going to do first, we're going to delete this. We're going to import MiniFaker from MiniFaker. Then we're also going to import, as you guys remember, MiniFaker /locally, so we can fix the English type to be English rather than English and French random. We're going to import use states and use effects on React. Okay, now we're going to work on the fake data. We're going to first say constant suggestions sets suggestions not require but use state. Okay, wow, look at this, it's already giving us different suggestions, but we don't need all the suggestion. We're going to say use effects. Okay, all right, so we'll say constant suggestions equals to MiniFaker dot array. In the array we just need 5 elements in the array. Let's say I, username should be MiniProfile dot username. I will want this to be in the locally of English, and it should be to lowercase. In the job title, we want MiniProfile. That's nice, but it's just job title. This will create different kind of job titles for us. If you check the documentation of MiniProfile, you see a lot of different ways of using it, but that's for another video. So ID is equals to I. That's the index, this index that we get from here. So ID equals to the index, and now we're going to say set suggestions. All right, so now that should be gotten. So what we'll do here was just say console.log suggestions. Then in our feed, we're going to bring these suggestions out. Save, then go back. Reload this. What's the issue? It says found paths MiniProfile. Because English is not exporting on package. Import. MiniProfile locally. Okay, it should be localize. Here's our suggestions. Okay, so let's check our console. Should have an array here of 5. Okay, so as you can see, job title national. Okay, Kilosis, other person, job title district something. This is our senior quality. Okay, so that is getting it for us. We don't need to console log it anymore. So now we're going to display everything with map. So let's style this a bit first before we start displaying. Say class name, margin top 4, margin left 10. Div class name, flex. Okay, sorry, I had a code there. And just quit this. Okay, so the class name flex, justify between. I'll call that person later on. Margin button 5, text should be small, then H3, class name, font bold, text gray 400. This will be suggestion for you. Okay, so now we also have a button here, and has a class name of text gray 600, font semi bold, and CEO. Okay, so now we can map through our suggestions. We're going to say suggestions dot map. Okay, suggestion. Okay, so div class name flex items sensor, and justify between, and margin top 3. So I do need to plug in my laptop. Don't worry about that. So Now we've done this, we're going to say image, class name, height 10, rounded full, shall have a border, padding of 2 px. The source, and we're going to use what we used in our last time we used Minifica, this pre-avatar website, and how we're trying to get a random image. So we did that previously, so I'm sure you guys understand that already. So then we're going to continue. Alt equals to nothing in our alt. We're going to save this. So that's for the image. Just check how it's looking now. Okay, so see the images, so we need to generate the job title, the name, and everything there. So let's continue. So after this, we're going to say div class name, flex 1, margin left 4. We're going to say h3, class name, font semi bold, text small, suggestion dot username h3. Okay, so the next one I'm going to do is another h3. This one here should be h2, sorry about that. H3 class name, and this is going to be text small. Text should be 3400, and to locate that if it's longer than the space that we have, it will just put dot 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 pause, then 230px. Okay, then we're going to say here suggestion dot job title. Okay, we have 2 h3 here. Okay, so after that, as you can see, looking nice. After that, the job title, we're now going to say h3 div. We're going to create a button. A button, class name, font semi bold, text should be blue, 400, text small, and it should be follow. Okay, so as you can see, suggestions for you. Yeah, let's come back up here. So suggestions for you, see all suggestions. Well, if we reload this, you see it will change, so it will keep changing whenever we reload it. That's suggesting new people for us. Okay, so now that we're done with all of this, we need to start working on our signing process. Now we want to use NextAuth. This is a very powerful NextJS package. We're going to use this for our signing. And we're going to be using Google Provider. We're going to be using your Google email to sign you up into the application. So let's get started. So now to get started, you just need to npm install NextAuth to your application, which I have already done over here. So just do that in your own code as well. So once you do that, we're going to come back to the documentation here. It says to get started, we need to create a file in our API auth, and then create a file with square brackets .nextauth.js. So let's do that. So now we're going to go to our pages, API, create a folder there, name it auth, then create another file there, and .nextauth.js. Now that we've done that, we want to copy all of this, paste it here. Then we're going to come here
and change this to Google. And we're also going to come over here and change this to Google, and also here. Now, before we continue, we're going to create a Firebase account. So what you're going to do, we're going to go to Firebase. So make sure you come to your Firebase website. Switch to the email that you want. I want to use this one. And get started. Okay, so you see I was already doing something here. So add project. So give it a name. We're going to say Instagram clone v2. Switch off Google Analytics for this project because this is just a testing project, but you can't leave it on if you want to launch your application and use it. So that's up to you. So while we're creating this, we're going to go back. Make sure you've done your npm install. I want to connect the Firebase application first before I do this. So what we're going to do, we're just going to leave this to be creating. I want you to search Google Cloud. The Google Cloud over here. And switch to the email you used to create your Instagram clone. So ours is already ready, so let's just continue here. So we're going to leave this now. Let's come back to our Google Cloud. So we want to say get started for free. Okay, small company, free detention, continue. Business name. Is this our console? Yes, this is our console. Start my free trial. Okay, account type business. We don't want a business, just an individual accounts. And then it's giving us issues here. Is this our console? Switch to the console. Okay, seems I clicked a wrong link. Okay, I made a mistake. So now that we're here, okay, we're correct email, and just go to the console. Okay, don't follow those steps I was following just now. Click on this place here, go to all, and we want to come to, we will see what we created in our Firebase Instagram clone v2. We're going to see it here, Instagram clone v2. I want you to select that. So once you select that, I want you to go over to APIs and services and go over to credentials. Okay, now that we're over here, I want you to come over to this OAuth 2 client ID and click on this edit here. Okay, now that we've done that, so our additional information, our client ID and our client secret, which we're going to be using our client ID here and our client secret. Now to use this, we're going to change this also to Google ID, copy, and Google secret. We're going to create our .env file, our environmental variable. We'll go to our main root directory over here and create a new file and name it .env.local. Okay, now in capital letters, small letters. Okay, now that we've done that, come back here, Google ID. We'll copy that, come back to this, paste it here. Then we'll go back here. So our client's ID, so it is this. So we're going to copy this. And the next thing is our Google secret. Let's copy that. And come down. and our client secret. We'll copy that and paste. Okay, so that is done. Then we're going to go back to our Firebase and go to settings and project settings. Scroll down. There are no apps in your project. Click on this. We're going to name it Instagram Clue. Register app. Okay, so now we need to install Firebase to our project. So we copy this, come back here, paste, install. Then we go back. We're going to need all this code, so we're going to copy this. We're going to go back to our VS Code, and then over here in our main directory, we're going to create a new file called Firebase.js. Okay, in Firebase.js, we're going to paste that code we have. Now our API key, auth domain, project ID, storage bucket, messaging sender ID, and app ID, we need to put that in our .env. I'm going to go bold here, J, and take this to here. Okay, so the first thing we have is Firebase API key. So we're going to say Firebase API key equals to, take this, copy. Then here we're going to say process.env.firebase API key. So we need to put all of this into the environmental variables here. So we're going to go to another one, Firebase domain. Name should have better. So we're going to say Firebase auth domain, Firebase project ID, we'll say Firebase storage bucket, Firebase message sender ID, and Firebase API ID. So come here, copy, paste. Okay, now that we've done that, we're going to come here, maybe if we just type auth domain. Okay, our prediction is working. Tab 9 is working effectively. Message sender ID. Process It's supposed to be API. All right, so we've done everything that we need to do there. So everything there is okay. So now we want to initialize some certain things in our Firebase application. We're going to import. Okay, let's remove these capital letters. We are importing initialize app. We're also going to import get app, and we're also going to import get apps. Then we're going to import get Firestore. I have talked about Firebase a lot, so I'm very sure you guys have seen my videos about that. I'll link that in the description, where I talk about how you can connect Firebase to your application and some other websites that I built with Firebase. So Firebase/Firestore. Okay, then the next one, I'm importing get storage. Of Firebase/storage. And down over here, we are initializing our application. But what we want to do here, we want to say constant app rather than initializing all the applications connected with this. We just want to check how many applications we have initialized, and then if it's just one, just initialize just one rather than this initialize all the application that we have. So what we're going to be doing here, we're going to say constant app equals to if get apps dot length is like equal to 0. We're going to say initialize applications like this, else get app. So if it's just one application we have connected to this, it should just get just that app. Then if it's multiple, we want to initialize all the applications we have in our Firebase account. So we're going to say constant db because we need to initialize the database as well. Get Firestore bracket app. Then we're also going to initialize our storage. Get storage. Then we're going to export all these things. We're going to export app db because we're going to use it in our pages very soon, and storage. Okay, so our Firebase application is okay now. So the next we want to work on is our sign-in page. How exactly are we signing into our application? So we're going to cancel this and cancel this. Suggestions, MiniProfile, feed. We don't need this anymore. So now we're going to create a new part. And you know how to create a new part. You just create a new file in pages, or you can create a folder. So we're going to create a folder, and in that folder we're going to say auth, and inside we're going to say signed in address. Now in our API auth and NextAuth, so let's go back to here and NextAuth here. Down here we want to link our pages, so we'll say pages. We're going to say sign in auth / sign in. So we're giving like the access to the pages we want to give it to. So error expected to gain command. We have a command here. Okay. All right, so that is done. Going back to our sign-in page now. So we're going to say RFC sign in, and we're going to remove this React here because we don't need it. So we're going to import some things. We're going to import get providers and sign in from NextAuth /React. and this sign in, the I is capital letter. Sorry, I is capital letter. Then we're also going to import our header. From components header. Okay, now that we've done that, we're going to pass in this, from this our NextAuth, we want to pass in this our provider, this Google provider, into this page here. So we're going to use get server side props to do that. We're going to async function get server side props context. And we'll say constant providers equals to await get providers. So we're going to get all our providers from here. Here we just have one. If we had more than one, like Google, GitHub, which other one do we have again? I can't remember from the top of my head, but I'm sure we have many providers. Like in our NextAuth here, providers. Okay, so GitHub, Twitter, Google, etc. We have like different providers. So we want to get all our providers here. If it's just one, we'll just get this Google, since we're just going to get this. If it's many, we'll get different providers. So we want to get that into this sign-in page here so we can use it. So we're going to say constant providers await get providers here, and then we're going to return it to this page. I'm very sure you guys know how props work here. Let's say return props providers. Okay, so now that we're doing that, we're going to, it's going to pass into our sign-in page as a prop. So we're going to pass it through here. I'll say providers and save this, and then we're just going to come over here, remove this div, and pass in our header. And just say sign in. So now if we go back to our Instagram application and put sign in, okay, we need to start this application. Dev, come here, reload. Okay, it's saying this page could not be found. Why? We're exporting it. Okay, sorry, I made a mistake. It's not just signing, it's bot signing. Alright, so as you can see, ignore this here, it's from our main CSS, just leave that. And so our header and can see the sign-in page. So here now we can now use the providers.
Okay, so now that we've done our sign-in page, we need to style this up a bit. We'll come back to our code. I'm going to create a div here. I'm going to say class name flex, justify center. Justify center space x7, and margin top should be 20. Now we're going to have an image here. Your class name should be hidden. Object cover. We're going to tilt it a bit. Okay, 6. On the large screen, we want it to show. On the smaller screen, we want it to be hidden. And the width should be 48. And now the source. We're going to go online and look for Instagram image. Okay, this one is nice. We're going to copy image address, paste in our source here.
Okay, no. And source, so we're going to put alt, Instagram image. So let's check this out. Okay, so you can see it's a bit tilted, or you don't need it to tilt, just leave that tilted. I don't know why are we having this style here. Let's go to our style page. Global. Okay, so that's much better. So now that we've done that, we're done with our image. We're going to come over here and start another div. We're going to say we're importing our get providers, so we're going to map all our providers. We only have the Google provider here, so it's only that's the only thing that's going to show. So we're going to map through. We're going to say object dot values providers dot map. Provider. Let's say div. The key should be the provider name. So we're mapping through all our providers here. Here we only have Google providers. We can add more providers here, like GitHub, Twitter, etc. If you add all of them here, we'll be able to map it through here. So on the page, you will see signing up with Google, signing with Twitter, signing with GitHub. So right now we're only using Google. So the key should be the provider's name. I'm going to style this a bit. Class name with flex code items center. Okay, so we're going to need an image again. I'm going to say image class name. Class name flex no width 32 object cover, and we're going to say source. So let's look for a source for this. Let's pick normal icon. This copy image address. Okay, so we're going to say opt. First, let's give that empty. Okay, so now that we have that, okay, so p class name, text small, italic, margin top and bottom 10, text center. Okay, so say this application is created for learning purposes. Okay, so that's just get that in there. Now we're going to create a button here, and on the bottom we're going to say on click. Hold on, we have our sign in here, so we're going to say on click. We want to sign in, and we're going to sign in with the provider, provider.id, and we're going to see the callback URL after the person has been signed in successfully. Should be the home page. Okay, now we're going to start this a bit. We're going to say class name. We're going to see background red of 100, and rounded large. I'm going to say padding 3. The text should be white, and on hover
background should be red 500. So here we're going to say sign in with the provider.name. Okay. So as you can see here, this application is created for learning process signing with Google. So that's our provider. So we're going to click this button. And as you can see, it says access block. This app request is invalid. We've not added this application to our Google application here. So let's say cancel first. So I want to come back to your console, Google Cloud Console. Make sure you're currently on your application. We're going to go to, before we come here, we're going to configure this consent screen. So let's configure it. I'm going to say external create app name. Let's say Instagram Glow Fish V2. Support email. Use my current email. The logo for your application. Okay, let's just pick a logo. Let me see if I have something. I do have some wallpapers. Saitama, Eren Yeager, Daki. Okay, let's use this astronaut. Size should not exceed 1 MB. 1.72. Okay, 600 kilobytes. Okay, let's use that and that video. Open that. So this is going to be our app logo preview. And app domain, just leave that. If I domain, just leave that. Email address, just put your same email address. Let's check. Yeah. Okay, save and continue. Before you logging in communication. Okay. Alright. It says for our logo is added, you have to go through certain processes so as up to that. So we're just going to say save and continue, save and continue. Get to our summary and back to dashboard. Okay, so we've configured that. We're going to go back to our credentials. We're going to come to our OAuth.2.client.id. We're going to edit. While loading this network issue, network seems fine. Okay, so it's okay now. Add URL. So we're currently using localhost 3000, so we're going to add this. Then over here, our redirecting URI, we are giving that over here when we can see our error redirect URI mismatch. So this is the redirect URI that we need to use. So we're going to copy this, say done, come back to here, paste this, save. So that is saved. We're going to come back here, go to our local. We need to make sure we check our IDs, Google ID, the environmental ID, all looking okay. We'll come back here. We go to /auth/sign in with Google. So you can see now it's working perfectly. So you click one, and you can see we are being navigated to this page. So it means this is currently working. So now we need to access that session and show some information here. So before we do that, we need to wrap our entire application with the session provider. If we go to our app_app.js, this this file here is our entire application. Anything we do here affects our entire application. So what we're going to do here, we're going to import session provider from NextAuth React. Then we're going to wrap our entire application with it. Take this here. Then while we're doing that, in our page props, we're going to get we're going to get our session, and we're going to get page props. And then in our session provider here, we're going to pass in session. Okay, so that's okay. So now we're going to go to our header, because in our header we want to configure this right side. Also put this crashed the purchase request. Control C. We run this application again. What's the matter? Fast refresh had to. Okay, our app.json. Okay, we made a mistake here. Delete this. And delete this. So, alright. So everything's okay now. Now we need to show our session from here. We need to also make us be able to sign it from here. So what we want to do, we want to go to our header, and we want to configure this right side over here. So before we do that, we come to the top, we have our plus icon. We should also import a home icon. Okay, so after we've imported our home icon, we want to come to our right side and work on our right side a bit. But before we do that, let us import our session. Let's come here and say import use session. Want to import use session. We also want to import sign in, and want to import sign out. Then over here, we're going to say constant data session equals to use session. I want to console log this. We want to come back here. We want to go to our auth, sign in with Google. Pick our accounts. So I navigated back to the main page. Want to inspect. Check our console. And okay, here you can see an object returns, and we can see the user's name, the image, and the email. So very good. We can also see when it expires on the 6th, that's June, on the 7th of June. And this is currently the 8th of May. Okay, so now that we get when it's expiring, we get our user details, everything looks good. Now we'll go back to our application here, and we want to come to our right side. Now in our right side, let's delete this. Give us some space to work with. We're going to say div class name and flex space x4 items center. And a home icon. class name, header, MD, inline, flex, height of 6, cursor, pointer. Now, whenever the user hovers, we want it to scale to 1 to 5, large, then transition, transform, then the duration should be for 200 milliseconds is out. Okay, so after this, let's check it out. So you can see for icon, when you go over it, it gets bigger. So now we want to say if there's a session, do this, and if there's no session, do this. So that's start what it will do if there's a session. If there's a session, we want to say plus circle icon, third class name. We'll copy this over here. Okay. They also want to show the user's image. So we're going to say the source should be session.user.image. Then the alt should be equals to user image class name. The class name should be height of 10, rounded, full, cursor, pointer. So now we need to wrap this in a empty braces so we don't get an error. Then over here, if we don't have anything here, okay, in this our image, we want, if it is clicked, that means the user wants to sign out. We want to say sign user out, or you can create another button saying sign out. That's up to you. And then button over here, I will say on click, we want to sign in. That says sign. Okay, let's go back. So as you can see, we're signed in already. If we click on this, we are signed out. Beautiful. Now if we want to sign back in, we click on it, and you can see it's directing us to a weird page that's saying sign in with Google. You can actually sign in from here. Click. Then you go back. Okay, you can see. But if we want to redirect that /alt/sign-in page, all you have to do, you have to go to your NextAuth here, and over here we made a mistake. This should be capital letter I. So when we're here, when we refresh, I will click on the sign-in. It will navigate us to this our page where we can now click, see all our sign-in providers, click the one we want, and tada, we're signing. So you can see incredible stuff. Okay, so now that we are working with our session and everything is looking good, we want to make some effects to our page here. For instance, this mini profile over here, we want to do it in such a way where it's the username that is here and the sign out button to work. So how do we affect that? We have to go to our mini profile and make some changes. Now at the top, we can remove this React because we don't need this. We're going to import use session and sign out from NextAuth. NextAuth React. Okay, so now that we get our use session and sign out, we want to get that data. We want to say constant data session equals to the use session function. Okay, so now we get our session. We now want to display the username here. Now in this session, what we are getting is the user's name, and we're getting his email and his image. But the name per se, okay, let's console log this so we can see this. Okay, load. Okay, so over here we're using a username, but the name that we're going to get back is not a username. It's like the user's name, first name, and the user's last name. Okay, over here, so you can see Smart Jeremy. We're not getting like a username, so we want to try and configure that name to make it seem like a user's name, username, rather than it looking like space name and the rest like that. So what we're going to go to our NextAuth file here. Now in this NextAuth, we are able to decide the information we can get. We're able to like touch the information a bit and send in extra information, if that makes sense. So what we can do, we can come down here and see callback. Okay, callbacks, and this is an async function. This is an async session token user. Okay, so the function. Now in this async function, we're going to say the session dot user name. We're appending to this array that we're getting in the session. We're appending to it. We're saying inside this session we want to add information into it. We want to add a username field into that array. So we're going to say equal to session dot user dot name. We're going to take the person's name and we're going to split it. We're going to split it from that space. Anyway, the space we want it to split. So if it's Smart Jeremy with the space in between, we want to split it into Smart and Jeremy. So we have those two values, Smart and Jeremy. Then when we split it from using that space, we want to join them together without any space. So there should be no space between them. We want to join them together, and it should be in lowercase. Everything should be in lowercase. Okay, so then we also want to say session dot user dot uid equals to token dot sub. Now this is like the ID of the user. We can get it from this token. So now that we have appended the session, we can now say return session. Okay, so now if we go back to our application and we reload and we inspect, okay, we're signed out, so we'll sign back in. Signing with Google. Okay. Full stack developer. Okay, so inspect console. Now in our array, okay, it's not this array, but not signed in. Let's reload this. Okay. Or do we have an error with our okay, it seems like we have an error with our code. Keep up alt. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so we're seeing callbacks here in sync session token user. Trying to see if we have any issue with this code. Session session token user session dot user dot username equals to session user dot name, split it, join. Okay, session dot user to all this token of return session. Okay, so I'm not seeing any issue from our end. Okay, what we can do, we can restart this console and try and see if that works. Okay, so let's refresh this. We're going to check our console and we're going to have our object here. And so in this object, we can see now that we're passing in the UID and we're passing in the username. And you can see the username now is the way we want. It is split and it has been joined to like one like word like this. So we're going to go back to our mini profile and in our mini profile down here, when we get our session, we're going to see session dot user dot username. I cannot read it. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to come here and say if session exists, shows this. So you can see this come up. All right, then we're going to go to our source, and here we're going to say session. If it exists, we want the user dot image. Okay. All right, so you can see this is now working. Then we also want to make this button here to be able to sign out. So we're going to say on click equals to sign out. So if we click this, it should be signed out. Perfect. So we're going to sign back in because we need to work on the story. So now that we're signed back in, if your user is signed in, we want his picture to be part of this story section. So what we're going to do, we're going to go back to our stories. Up here, we're going to import use session. Down here, constant data dot session equals to use session. Okay, sorry, not data dot session. This. Okay, so now that we've gotten the session, we want to come down here and we want to say if session actually exists. We want it to display this. We're going to say story image equals to session dot user dot image username equals to session dot user dot username, and is user, because in okay, let me just put this true. Now when we see this here, we want to make like the user know that this is a story. We want to have like a plus icon here. So we're sending is user here so that in our story we can able to pick if it's the user that is currently using the story, so we can know what to like give it to the styling. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to come down here and we're going to say is user. If it's the user that is element we're currently showing, shows the plus icon. Yes, class name. We want age, height of 6, absolute top 4 from the top, and from the left 4, and the text should be white. Okay, so tab, save. Look at this. Okay, it's not currently showing. Its user is here. Our its user and plus icon, class name absolute top left, text white, class name. Okay, we need to style this div, so we're going to say class. It's probably not show anyway. Okay, so we're going to say here, we're going to say class name, native, group, also pointer. Okay, so you can see the plus sign in it. Let me come a bit closer so you can see the plus sign. So user knows that this is his own story. So we have this working, we have this working. So now we want to work on our modal, because when a user clicks on this, he's supposed to see a small modal, which is going to allow him to post to our site. Now, normally to work with modal here, you need a global state. So that if you're in any other page, this will still work. You need a global state so that when the user clicks this, it changes to modal is open true, and then the modal shows up. So normally what we would use is like it's a React Redux. We can use context, but in this aspect we're going to use a different package. It's not that popular, but I believe it will be popular very soon. So what we're going to use is React Recoil. Okay, Recoil.js. So we're going to go to Recoil.js. It helps us. It's a state management library for React. So we're going to get started. I'm going to install Recoil. Copy this and go to here, Control and this. So we're going to install it and then start up our page again, and we're going to create a new file here. I'm going to call that file UploadModal.js. Use the RFC upload modal. Then we're going to come over to our index.js and we're going to import this modal here. Now upload modal. Okay, so we have done that. Now let's go back to the documentation. We can see here it's saying we need to wrap our entire application with the Recoil root. Now to wrap our entire application is very simple. All we have to do in NextJS, just have to go to _app. You can see here we wrapped our application with session provider, so we're going to also wrap it with Recoil root. So what we're going to do, we'll come here, we're going to copy this code here, copy, go back, and we're going to paste it here. And here we can now say Recoil root, then come down, say close Recoil root. Okay, so now that that's done, we're going to create a new folder in our main directory here. We're going to call that folder atom, and inside this atom is going to be the starting state for our application. So we're going to say modal atom.js. Okay, so here we're going to import atom from Recoil. We're going to export a constant modal state. equals to atom. We're going to say the key is a modal state, and the default is going to be false. Okay, so this is the starting state, the key and the default, so it's going to be false. So we're going to create a function in our component, so when they click on this, I don't know why it has signed up, but don't worry, we'll come back to this. So when they click on this plus, it will now pick and when they click on this plus, it will now click and show us our modal. So you can see here the modal that we added. So we're going to go to our header so we can create that function that will show us the modal. So we're going to import. We're first going to import use Recoil state from Recoil, and then we're also going to import modal state from our modal atom page file. So once we've done that, we're going to come down here. This our use Recoil works similar to use states. It's very nice because we can just say constant open set open equals to use Recoil state, and in it we say modal state. Now this open is going to show us our values, while this set open is going to allow us to set the value of our modal state. So what we want to do now is our plus icon. Our plus icon we're going to say on click of function and set open to true. Okay, so once we set this open to true in our upload modal, we're going to come here and we're going to say import modal state. Okay, then down here we'll also need to import use Recoil. This tab 9 isn't very fast sometimes because it's supposed to be predicting this thing already on Recoil. Okay, so here we're going to say constant open and set open equals to use Recoil state modal state. Okay, so now that we have that, this is our modal. We can now say here if it's open, show us and tell us that h1 the modal is open. Okay, so if we go back to application here, you can see you can just see only modal, but when you click the plus icon, you can now see the modal is open. So if we refresh, you can see it's false. Once we click it, boom, it becomes true and the modal is open.
Okay, so now that we have our modal here, that when we click it we see extra information, we want to have a modal box here. So what we're going to do, we're going to import modal from React-Modal here, and then in this condition where we say open constant open, we're going to cancel this. We're going to say modal. We're going to style it a bit with a class name, and we're going to say max width LG 90%. Padding 6. Absolute. Sorry. Okay, so after the start, we're going to say is open. This will tell it whether it's open or not, and to use the boolean value that we have in open. I'm going to say on request close. It's going to be a function. I'm going to say set open to be equals to set open to be false. Then here, okay, to say class name or person, let's say okay, so here we have our modal, which is already here. If we click outside, it will close. So that is that. Now we want to style the inside here. So how do we go about doing that? We're just going to go inside our modal here. I'm going to say div. Cool. Okay, so we have this div styled in it now. Now we want let's click outside. Let's refresh this. Okay, so now we want to be able to select a file. So to do that, what we need to create a constant. We need to say constant. So let's say file. So this one will host the selected file. It will start with the value of no. Okay. Now we need a camera icon, but inside here we need an image to show the selected file, but we also need to be able to pick the selected file. So here we're going to say input type equals to file hidden, and ref equals to nothing for now. On change will be add image to post. Okay, so this is going to be a hidden input. Then we're going to have a camera icon which we're going to import. I thought it will show recommendation. Camera icon from @0 icons React outline. Okay, so we want to show that camera icon down here. So we're going to show the camera icon. We're going to say camera icon, and we're just going to say class name. Start this a bit. Once when someone takes the pointer to it, give us cursor pointer. Height of 14, BG red, so 100.
padding 2, rounded full border of 2, and text width 500. Sorry, mistake. Crash this. Okay. Use state is not defined. Okay, we need to come to this, save command, and import it. Okay, so click add to post is not defined. Okay, so let's create some of these functions before we continue. Now, if the user selects this file and it's trying to upload a post, we're going to create a function here. Add image to post. So we're going to create a new file reader, and we're going to say if I get those files, the first thing is select read has data URL. What the user, this saying that when the user clicks this on hidden file uploader, is going to say if there's something in the first, because it's going to be an array. You know, if you put multiple here, the person will select multiple images. But as we didn't put multiple here, we'll just get one, but it's still going to come as an array. So this is just signifying the first thing in the array, and we're just trying to read it as a data URL and to see if it's actually like a good like file. So we're going to say reader.onload. So here we're going to say set the selected file to be reader event.target.result. Okay, so now that is done, let's check and click. Okay, you can stick on my icon. When we click it, it was supposed to be able to select an image. Okay. Okay, we need a ref for this. We need to create a ref for the inputs. So what we're going to do, we're going to say constant file picker ref equals to useref. Here we're going to say ref equals to file picker ref. Let's see if sit compile fresh. Okay, our input is not working. Let's check it. What could be the problem? Let's move this hidden. Alright, so okay. Let's go back to hidden. We want it hidden so that when we select this, it will
copy instead.
Okay, I think I understand the issue now. Now on our camera icon, we want to see on click. Should be a function for picker ref dot current dot click. Okay, so now if we select this, exactly. Okay, all right, that's perfect. So up here, if we've selected an image, we don't want to show this camera icon anymore. We want to show the image that we selected. So what we're going to do, we're going to just say selected file, else okay, so we're going to take this and put it here. Then in this selected file, we want to show the image. So we're going to call it, say, image. And this image, we want, if the user clicks it, we want the selected file to be null, so that the image will go. So don't worry, I'll show you once we're done. So we'll just do this function. Set selected file equals to null. The source equals selected file. Alt equals nothing. And class name. We're going to say width full, max height. Okay, so here, click this, pick an image, it will show the image and the camera is available. Once we click this image, it will clear and show us the camera icon again. So that's exactly what we want. And so after this, our input here, we want to create another input. Type this time around will be text, the max length. Okay, so it's going to have a max length of 150 characters, meaning once we get 150 characters, we don't want any more. Or it's a matter here. And then we're going to say class name, margin 4, border none, text center, width 4, record ring 0. What's wrong with this max length here? Okay, I see the issue here. Okay, and then here. Okay, so now that we have our inputs, let's look at that. Enter. What could be the problem? Compiling. Okay, so enter your caption. Okay, exactly. Then we also want a button. I want it to be disabled. We'll make it enabled when we want to use it again. Class name. I'm going to put some styling for disabled. To stop the cursor not showing. I honestly don't know what's wrong with this VS Code. It's just giving me issues. Okay, so let's refresh this. Okay, so let's click it. So you can see our upload posts, and we can click this and we have an image. And if we click the image, it disappears. That's exactly what we're looking for. Okay, so now that we have our modal working up and running, we want to add these things to the Firebase. We want them to be stored in Firebase once we press upload post. Now over here we need to enable this button, so we need to go to our button here and make our disabled equals to, if there's no selected file, or okay, no, just no selected file. We've not created our upload post yet, so our button is working. So now we need to go to our Firebase console, get started. All right, so Instagram clone version. So we want to go to our, I'll expand this. We want to go to our Firebase data and Firestore database, and we want to create a database. Now we're going to start off in test mode, but we'll change it up later on once we get production mode. Next enable. Okay, so this is not refreshing. Let's just go to storage and also get started here. Start in test mode. Done. Okay, so our storage is complete. Let's go back to our Firestore database. All right, so we have our storage and Firestore database ready. We want to create a collection here and call it post. Okay, so next we're just going to say test
test. We're going to say field tests and put the value of 1 just for something to start it off, and save. Okay, so now that we're done with that, we're going to come to our upload modal, and we're going to import some certain things. We're going to import add doc. We're going to import collections. We're going to import doc server timestamp, update doc, and then we're going to import db storage from Firebase. We have them here. I'll just show you quickly. We just want to import db and storage from here. So go back. Then we're going to say import use session. Okay, then import get download URL ref. We're going to use all of this. Upload string. Okay, so now that we're done with that, we're going to come down here. We're going to say constant data session use session. Okay, so we're going to create a new async function. Which is going to be upload post. All right, so in this we're going to create a use state. Let's say constant loading. Okay, and this is going to be false. Now, why are we doing this? Because we want to make sure that anytime a user clicks upload post, if he's uploading a post, he can't click that button again unless the uploading is done. So we want to use a loading state to check when the upload is done or not. So for instance, when we get started, uploading is false. So we're going to create an if function here. It's going to say if loading is true, return. That means if this is true, that means this is still running, and we don't want the user to create another post while the first post he has posted is still being uploaded. So we're going to here say set loading is true, and then after the process of us running the code, we're going to say set loading is false. Okay, if that makes sense. All right, so now that we're done with that, we're going to say constant docrec is equal to await add doc collection db post caption ref. Okay, do we create a caption ref? Okay, we didn't create a caption ref. All right, so we need to create a caption ref for the caption. Okay, so in this caption ref, we're going to link it to here. I'm going to say here it's going to be ref equals to caption ref, so that we can get the value of that in our upload post function. So over here we can get caption Do you use this is a caption? Okay, so caption ref dot current dot value. Then we're going to say username. The username will be the session dot user dot username. Profile image is going to be session dot user dot image. Okay, so we're creating a document inside our Firebase data, Firestore database. So we're creating a document here. That's what we're currently doing. So we're creating like the fields that we're going to need. We're going to need the caption, the username, the profile image, and we're also going to need a timestamp to know when this document was created. Say server timestamp. Okay, so save this. Now we need to upload the image and then edit the image into this document here over here. So we're going to say constant image ref is equals to ref storage posts docref dot id. So we're currently creating the folder in which this image will be uploaded to. For instance, inside the storage, we want to create a folder post, and inside our post, we want to create a folder with the document ID. These documents here, the ID, and then in that we're now going to say image. So inside this folder, post folder, document ID folder, and image folder, that's where our image is going to be uploaded to. So we're now going to say await upload string image refs, say noted file So we want to get the download URL. Now we want to update the doc with that URL we just got. So you see database of posts. documentref.id image with download URL. Okay, so once this is done, we want to set loading to false. We also want to set open to close the modal to false. Then we want to set selected file also to no. Okay, so before we try this, because I already know this is not going to work, and the reason is because of our environmental keys. So if you click this, open, and you post. If we check our storage, we don't see anything, and this just keeps loading, but nothing happens. The reason is because of our environmental variables. In our environment.env here, over here we're supposed to use next_public. So we're just going to take this, copy it,
Then we're going to go to our Firebase here and paste it here as well. And see bold. Control C. I'm going to end this because anytime you change environmental variables, you need to restart the application. So we'll go back to our app and we'll refresh the app. Okay, so our app is refreshed. Now I want to click this, pick a picture, upload. Go here, refresh and see if our image was uploaded. Okay, so the reason is because this upload post, we've not attached it to that button. Silly me. So we're supposed to say here on click, upload post. So we come back, refresh, we click here and we select an image and we post. So wait a while, the same storage is not defined. Storage. Okay, let's go back. Continue to import storage. Okay, we said storage is mistake. The one is above mistake. So we'll refresh that. You click on the plus, click on this, pick one, upload posts. We're not seeing any error. This is supposed to close automatically. Okay, it has closed. So let's check our storage. Okay, you can see post and this and image. Boom, see our image here. Beautiful. In our Firestore database, let's see if we get that. So you can see we got something here with no caption. We got this one too with no caption. Profile image. Does this have a profile image? Okay, it also has one. All right, so this one we're going to delete this because this is useless. All right, so now that we can upload our post on our database, we have to now display our post to the feed section here. Also, we need to make these things clickable because as you can see, they don't work currently. So we'll go to our header. We'll go to the top. We're going to import. Use router from NextJS. Then we're going to come here. We're going to say constant router equals to use router. Okay, so then we're going to go to our image here. We're going to say and click router.push. Okay, does this. So we're going to copy this. I'm going to come here too. All right, so now we're going to go to our home icon. Like this, our plus icon. Okay, sign now. Source class name. Equals something. All right, so this is okay. Now we're going to go to our post. Our post. So yeah. So in our post, we have this default post here. So we're going to clear this because now we want to read data from our database. So we're going to clear all of this as well. Okay, no. I'm just going to clear the React-Modal. So we're going to import use effects and use states. And snapshots order by query. Okay, from Firebase Firestore Okay, so Firebase file store, we're also going to import maybe from Firebase. All right, so over here we're going to create some constants. Posts, set posts equals to use state. I'm going to use effects. I'm going to say constant unsubscribe. Equals to on snapshots. I'm going to say query collection of in database posts. I'm going to say order by. I'm going to order by, because we want to take descending order. We want the one that is coming latest to appear first. So we're going to use this timestamp. Timestamp. I'm going to say descending order. Okay, so here I'm going to say snapshots. Set post. A snapshot. That's data. Okay, so this is good. Okay, snapshots. Descending order. Your snapshots, setting the post data. Okay. Here, and then okay, we're going to say return unsubscribe. Okay, I have an error here somewhere. I'm trying to figure out what that error is. Snapshots. Okay, so I made a mistake here. Okay, that's much better. All right, so DB post order by timestamp descending order. So here we return the unsubscribed, and here we want to see if there's any change in our DB has here. So now that we've done that, we also want to edit these things here. So over here, post.id, here will be post.data. Okay, so let's check our code and see. Let's refresh this. So element type is invalid, especially the string. That function but comes from the file defining. Okay, so where is this error coming from? We don't have any issue here. Snapshots, use effects, set post. DB is gotten from Firebase. Collections on snapshot. This one thing with code you have to be. You can always change, even if you write it 1,000 times. Something can always have an issue. So now posts. Don't see any issue here. Let's Ctrl C and start this server again. import situation model. Okay, over here it says it cannot read properties of undefined post in post. So here we're in post, it says undefined of post. Okay. Okay, so over here, let's console log this. Post, yes. Let's inspect console and see if we get anything in that array. Okay, the stories. I'm looking for an array from post, header. Okay. Cannot read properties of undefined reading map. I understand what you're saying. But I want to see if I get a Alright, so here I want to change this to image anyways to make that much better. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to come to post and see if we can create a simple, we'll just say if post the length equals less than 0, return loading. So let's see how that works. Seeing is undefined totally. Alright, so we've covered our issues. Let's go back. So the issue that we had was that here in our snapshot we're using .data instead of .docs. So please correct that in your code and you should be a-okay. So now in our console, once we refresh, it's saying image is not defined. That's because we need to go to our post here and change this here to image. Okay, so once we do that, this should be okay, and we should see our images. I'm not seeing our images yet. It seems like it's still loading. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to our post here. So image, username, caption, ID. Okay, no. Here should still be image. The only thing we're changing, what we're passing to it is from the post is that it's still image. We just change the image here. So, and boom, our code is working perfectly. If you see, if you post something now, let's put something new, like me in blue, and we post. You can see it's reading straight from the database immediately, and then it shows the image. Let's also post something with a caption. Okay, let's use this from my previous video. Live scores application. Upload post. Saying yes. Alright, let's go to that post. No, upload modal. And remove that yes that is saying. Okay, so you can see live scores application. Excellent. Now we don't want this comment section to show if a user is not signed in. For example, if I sign out now and refresh, we're still seeing the comment section, so we don't want that to happen. So we'll go back to our post. Okay, so here we want to import session. Use session rather. Okay, so then we'll come here, say constant data session equals to use session. Okay, so we've done that now. Now we want to put condition where the comment is. So over here in our flex, our emoji, we want to add some certain things to this. Post buttons. Okay, so over here we want to say post buttons. Then we're going to say session. If there's a session, we want to say div class name flex. Class name btn. Class name btn. Okay, so our div here, then we'll need a bookmark icon into class name btn. Alright, so in our post comments here, our username, our caption, and then down here we want to create another session. Okay, so we have our form, we have our emoji icon, last name enter, button text blue. All right, so let's go back to our code. So as you can see, there's no comments. The person can't comment until you sign in. So let's sign in and see. Okay, sign in with Google. Pick one. Okay, our bookmark icon. Let's go back. PT4. Kathleen Flex space X BTN. Okay. So in our public, in our styles, go to globals.cs. We want to create our our btn class. So we're going to come here, we're going to say at layer components. So here we're going to say .btn, and we can remove all of this, it's not important. Okay, we'll say btn, we're going to say at apply h7, so that anywhere in our application when we use btn, this will just work. Over scale 125, transition, transform, duration 200 millisecond, is out, cursor pointer. Okay, let's refresh this. Okay, what is it saying here? Okay, solve this. One syntax error, the transition zone does not exist since I didn't spell it well. Transition, okay. Okay, so we can see everything looks nice and clean. So when the person is signed in, he'll be able to leave a comment.
Okay, so now that we've done stopped users that are not logged in from commenting, we want people that are logged in to be able to send a comment to our Firebase. So we're going to add the comment functionality to our application. We're just going to close all these tabs. Just to make it simpler for us. And we're going to go to the post tab. Bold. Okay, so we want to set a comment. Now, first of all, we're going to create a use state. We're going to say constant comment, set comment is equals to use state, and nothing is inside. Okay, so now that we've created our use state, we want to come over to our comment section. Okay, our input here, we want to say the value equals to comment. They want to say on change. Set comment. Okay, with the event.target.value, type text, focus ring, flex border. Okay, so enter your comments. Now over here in our button, we want to set disabled. If there's nothing in comments, also trim it to remove white spaces. So this will stop the button from being clicked if there's nothing in the comment section. So we also want to add some class name to this. We want to set disabled to be text a bit lighter shade of blue. That's 200. Okay, and we want to set our type to be equals to submit, and on click to be equals to send comments, which is a function we're going to work on now. Okay, so now that we have all that set up, we want to send our comments. So we're going to create a new function, an async function. We're going to async function send comments event. We're going to say event.preevent default so that the page doesn't reload. Comment to send equals to comment going to say set comment equals to nothing. So once the user clicks comment, the thing he has filled in the comments box gets removed. So let's check that out and see. Unchanged, seems like we made an error on unchange. Okay. So if the user types a comment and post, it gets cleared because it has to get cleared. So now that we've cleared it, we want to say await add doc, import that collection, import that as well. We want to paste this in our database post ID, and in that post with the ID, because we get our post ID from here. So in the database of posts, in the ID, we want to create comments, a new collection called comments, so that each post has a collection under it called comments, and from there we're able to pull out all the comments for a certain post. So we want to put the comment to send. Let's say username for the person that made the comment, session username. Okay, they want to say user image, session user image, timestamp, server timestamp. Okay, so let's check if this is working. In this, let's reload this page. Yes, post. Okay, so over here we're saying DB is not defined. So go to DB, command space, is it control space, import it, and we'll come back, we refresh our comment. Yes, post. Now I want to check our Firebase. Let's go application. So we can see here in this document, let's go to application, we have a collection in it, comments, and here we have yes, the timestamp, user image, and the username. So that is done. Well, our comments are getting added into the database. So now that our comments are getting added into the database, we need to display the comments. For that, we're going to come up here, take all this down. We're going to say constant comment, set comment equals to use state. It's an object, and we're going to say use effect. We say constant unsubscribe is equals to on snapshots. Let's say query. I'm going to query the collection. DB post. So we're going to query the collection of this very post. I want to query the comments. I want to get all the comments. I want to order by timestamp and in descending order. Okay, so in descending order, and then I want to say snapshots set comments. Okay, here's supposed to be set comments. Okay, so set comments snapshots docs. So here we get all the comments, and we want to say on this use effects, okay, so now we get all the comments, we query it and we set the comments. Now we have to display the comments for our users. Okay, so we're going to go to the input box, okay, just above here, and we're going to say comments. So we're going to say comments dot length. If it is greater than 0, and let's say div class name, so we want the scroll bar to be none. Okay, so overflow scroll bar none. Then here we're going to say comment dot map we're going to show the image of the person that commented. Okay, so we get the image of the person. Now we also have to display the comment. So we're going to say here p tag So here we'll display the comments. Okay, so now we're going to download the package on snapshots. It says on query is not defined. Okay. Order by is not defined. So you can see here our comments being displayed. Now we need to tell the user when this was displayed. To do this, we're going to use a special package called React-Moments. Alright, so we're going to go to React-Moments. We're going to copy this. Control C. Okay, so now we're going to run our server again, and at the top here we're going to import moment from React moment. Okay, so now that we import it, we're going to come down. So our comment here, I'm going to say moment from now. I'm going to say comment dot data dot time stamp dot date. Okay, so let's check that out. So you can see here it says 8 minutes ago. This is a very nice way of showing something. So we can come back and we say Niger coder. Boom, you can see in a few seconds ago, 8 minutes ago. So it's very nice, very neat application. So now that we can display our comments, we want to work on our like functionality. As you can see here, this is not working, so we need to make this work. So I need to go back, and to do this, we're going to create a new use state. So we're going to come back up here. We're going to create two use states. The first one is constant likes, and the second one is set likes equals to use state. Then we have constant has liked, set has liked equals to use state, and this will be false. Okay, so we need to go back to our heart icon. We want our heart icon to change whenever the user clicks the clicks it. But for now, we're just going to come to our heart icon here with some space. We're going to say on click equals to like post. So we're going to create the like functionality first. So we're going to come up here. Okay, view of speed for ourselves. And here we're going to say async function like post. Here we're going to say await set documents db post id. I'm going to create a new collection called likes, and in that collection we're going to say session. We're going to put the value, the name of each collection to be session dot user dot uid, and we're going to pass in username to be session dot user dot username. Okay, so if we go back to our Instagram app, we refresh, we come here, we click this button. It's saying set doc is not defined. Let's go back from here, doc, refresh, click here, we go to our Instagram application here, post, click on this. So you can see our likes is functioning and it's being stored with the ID of the user. So this ID here, the username, is the username of the person that made the like. So now, as you can see in our application, I clicked the like, nothing happened. This was still like white. We need it to change to red to show that yes, this user has liked this before, in case they log back in or immediately they click on that button. So we're going to come here, we're going to click this heart icon. We're going to call another heart icon that is filled. We're going to say heart icon has heart icon filled. from at hero on React solid. Okay, so first of all, we need to check if the user that is currently logged in has liked that post before. So what we need to do, we need to come here. We need to first of all download the likes to see how many likes this post currently has. So say use effects, and we say constant unsubscribe is equals to on snapshots collection db post id likes. Snapshots set likes snapshots docs. Okay, so with this we get all the likes that this post currently has. So here we can just see, and with that we can use it to put the number of likes that the post has on the post over here. We can put amount of likes that the post has. So now that we get all the likes, we also need to check if this user that is logged in currently has liked this post before. So we need to create another use effects instance. Use effects. Say set has liked. NextAuth find index. like.id, where like.id equals to session.user.uid. So here now, where all this is not equal to -1, so we want to check if it exists. If it doesn't exist, it will be -1, and then it will be set as false. That means the user has not liked this post. But if the user UID is inside our likes, then it will be set as true. So now that we have this, we can also come here and put dependency on likes. Okay, so now we have set if the user has liked. So on this our heart icon here, we want to check as user has he liked this post before. If the user has liked it, we want to set another kind of heart icon. So here, alt. What's the matter with this? Okay, so here, heart icon field on click equals to like post, and class name text red 400 btn. Okay, so heart icon here like post. Okay, so now over here you can see we have a red symbol, meaning I have liked this post. Over here, if I click on this, it will change to red, meaning I have liked this post. Now if I click it again, we're supposed to be removed from the likes of this post, and here supposed to switch back to the normal heart icon to show that we unliked this post. So when we go back to our like post here, because all our hearts icons come reflect on this like post function that we have here. Okay, that we have here. So here now we want to say if has liked. That means if the user has liked this post before. So if the user has liked, we're going to say await delete doc, delete doc, db post id likes where session dot user dot uid. Okay, so we delete the like from the list of likes if the user re-clicks it or has liked it before. So else, and we take this and we take it inside here. So with that, now if we click this, you see it will remove us from the likes of this post. So you remove it. If you click it again, it will add you back. So now we want to show the number of likes that this post currently has to our users. So we're going to go back here, going to scroll down to where we show our username over here, and we're going to say likes.length. If it is greater than 0, we want to say p class name, font bold, MB1, and want to show the likes dot length. Then likes, let's keep a bit of space. So if we check our application now, you can see here it's showing 1 likes. If we log out and we sign in with a different account, my network is so slow, man. Please make sure you like and subscribe so I can get faster internet. Faster internet is the goal. So pick this one. So we come back here, and if we like, you can see it increases to 2 likes. So you can see our application is working perfectly. NJ, stop screaming now! So our application is working perfectly and smooth. So make sure you like this video, subscribe to see more. If you have an idea of an application I should do, please leave it in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.